think the most famous South African to have been executed, he was a very young man, 20 years of age, by the name of Honorable Solomon Kalushi Mahlangu. Solomon's last words were to address his mother, who was present. And he says, "Do not fear, my blood will run. It's going to nourish the tree that will bear the fruits of freedom. Go back home, tell my people I love them, and to continue with the struggle." When the Youth League speaks of raw young lions roar, they refer to Solomon's last words. And we must also not forget all the South Africans and our fellow Africans who were killed along our borders where the guerrilla camps were. At least 75,000 people died along the borders of South Africa. So when we come to Robben Island, I think it is only appropriate that we express our gratitude for that ultimate sacrifice. You know, here in the Quarry, there's a cairn of stones at the entrance. It's an Isivivane, a token of respect to the deceased. Because the men that died on Robben Island were not buried by their family, they were buried by the government in undisclosed locations. Till today, we don't know where they were buried. Definitely not on the island. They did not want this place to become a memorial in their honor. So on the 11th of February 1995, Mr. Mandela them had a reunion in the Quarry. On that day, after sharing a few words, after mentioning them, he becomes emotional and breaks away to lay the first stone. The others, realizing his intentions, they begin to follow his example. So it's a common Xhosa custom in Isivivane to show respect to the deceased by visiting the place where someone died and leaving a stone. Similar to what Jewish communities do when they visit graves, they leave stones as well. Now, if we focus on the working years, you will see at the back of the Quarry there is a little cave. That cave over there is where the tools were stored at night, and because there was no sewage in this place, it is also where they kept the toilet buckets throughout the working day. Unfortunately, on many hot summer's days or rainy days, they would remove the buckets and the tools so that lunch could be served. It was most unpleasant. Officers always kept a distance, and here our leaders, they realized an opportunity of privacy where they could have political discussions that they could not do in the prison. Because for them serving life sentences here, this was not going to be the end. This for them was just another phase of their struggle. They were determined, even though they were serving life sentences, they were looking for ways to contribute to our struggle. They believed that if they could share their political knowledge and experience with other prisoners serving lesser sentences, then those prisoners can continue with the work. So whatever political discussion they had in that cave, they had a scribe to document everything. Once they compiled all the transcripts, they would then assign a man from our Hindu community by the name of Mac Maharaj. He was now supposed to smuggle the information to those in the communal cells and in the other quarries. That is why Mr. Mandela chose him to smuggle his book off the island. I asked if you read it. Not yet.
Am I ready to?
Have you read Mr. Mandela's book? Oh, not yet. Okay. It's this thick. Yeah, he got it off without anyone having a clue. Mac Maharaj is appointed by Mr. Mandela as our first democratic Minister of Transport. We joke, we say, yeah, he showed he could transport anything, anyone, you know. But they never gave up. They always had hope that maybe someday we would leave. And when we leave from here, we should leave as the best versions of ourselves to carry on leading our people. So instead of this space crushing, you know, our leaders, making them regret, the complete opposite transpired. They turned this place into an incubator of future leaders. That's why we can say at least 60% of the ministers to serve Mr. Mandela were prisoners from Robben Island. Like Steve Tshwete, our first Minister of Sport. And then also I mentioned earlier, 3 out of 5 democratic presidents. So for us, this is our victory. Instead of crushing them, the complete opposite transpired. And that's why they say that to the political prisoners of Robben Island, the human spirit is like water. It will always find ways to flow